Classroom of the Elite Season 3 Episode 7 is here, and this is easily the best episode this season in terms of an adaptation, only adapting around 50 pages. But it's also the episode that worries me the most about the future of this season. So stick around till the end of the video if you wanna know why this episode worries me so much. Also leave a like on this video as it lets me know how much you guys love these videos, and consider subscribing for more Classroom of the Elite content. With all that out of the way though, let's finally dive into all the cut content for this episode. So the first moment with cut content is actually during the Hirata conversation. Their conversation was slightly longer in the light novel, plus the anime also skipped all of Kyo's thoughts, especially Kyo thinking that he wants to help Hirata even though there's not much he can do. Though he does suggest to Hirata about trying to think about who should stay instead of thinking about who they need to cut off, even though Kyo thinks that Hirata won't be able to do that because of his personality. Plus we have extra context as to why he's like this because of his monologue from the beginning of this volume, which the anime cut out. And their conversation ends with Kyo asking Hirata about his dating life. Hirata answers that he did get confessed to by one person, but he's currently not looking to date anyone. Kyo wonders if that person was Mi-chan, but he doesn't want to pry into their life. Moving on to the Ichinose scene, this scene was pretty much the exact same as the LN. So now we move on to the next day, where the class has already decided on a target. This scene was pretty much the same, though the scene which did get cut short was the Ayanokoji group conversation. Their conversation was way longer in the light novel, where they discuss about what each of them would do if they were being targeted. And Kyo also tells them that it would be smart to join the big group if they do get an invitation so they could act as a double agent. They also see Hirata outside of the cafe walking around aimlessly with bags under his eyes, and they all get worried about him and also wonder why does he care so much about the class. Then Kyo actually gets a call from Manabu asking if they can meet up, which was completely cut in the anime. After saying goodbye to his group, Kyo goes in to meet with Manabu, who is there together with Tachibana. They first talk about the new special exam. Manabu mentions that lots of first years have tried asking for points from the third years, but none of them are in a position to able to help out because of their final exam, which is very soon. Manabu also mentions that special exams are rotated every 3 years, so none of the upperclassmen can leak the contents of the special exams. Then Kyo asks Manabu if Suzune has tried to ask him for advice yet. He also says that Suzune is gonna have to make some tough choices during this exam and needs someone who can give her advice. Manabu tries to ask Kyo to be that person for her, to which Kyo replies that he and Suzune are very different people, and the only one who can help her during this exam is Man. Then they talk about Nagumo and how he's been acting recently, and Tachibana wondering why Manabu trusts Ayanokoji so much, to which Manabu replies that he doesn't even know himself. Now we move on to the call from Kei, where she tells him about being the class target. In the LN, after his call with Kei, Kyo actually calls Manabu and tells him about the situation he's in and asks him for a favor. After hearing about Kyo's plan, Manabu says that Kyo probably would have used the same strategy even if he wasn't being targeted, and also thinks that Kyo isn't in danger at all. After his call with Manabu, instead of meeting up with Kushida, he actually gives her a call and their conversation takes place here. The conversation was mostly the same as the anime, aside from Kushida mentioning that she's being blackmailed because the ringleader knows about her other side. After his conversation with Kushida, Kyo calls Manabu once again and tells him about some more details and parts of his plan which we don't get to hear. And after his call with Manabu, Kyo wonders just why would Saka Yanagi do this after promising that she's gonna postpone their match. He also thinks that Saka Yanagi isn't the type of person who'd be satisfied by stabbing him in the back. Next up we actually get a Horikita POV chapter, which starts with her getting a message from Manabu asking if she has any regrets. After which she actually calls Manabu and asks him if they can meet up in person to talk. To which Manabu straight up says that their relationship was over the moment she rejected his proposal to drop out of school. but Horita manages to convince him to meet with her after saying that this will be the very last time she's gonna involve herself with him. Then we move on to their meeting, which was honestly adapted pretty faithfully in the anime. I honestly have no complaints about this scene. Now we finally have the classroom scene to end off the episode. Some small changes during this scene were Yamauchi instantly being nervous as soon as Horikita brought up the topic of expulsion, and Chabashira and Koenji being the two people who were most impressed by Horikita's reasoning and actions. Koenji looked particularly happy by this because he was one of the students at risk of expulsion as much as he was trying to act tough, and if Horikita followed through with her plan, he would be saved because of his abilities. And that is all the cut content for this episode of Classroom of the Elite. Despite having cut content, this was easily the best adapted episode so far. But that does make me really worried for the next episode. There's an extremely high chance that the next episode will be the one to end off this volume, which is really concerning because we still have over 120 pages left in this volume. Plus, they also need to adapt Hirata's monologue somehow, which is really important for the final parts of this volume. As much as I want to be happy that we got a decent episode for once, I'm just even more scared for the conclusion of this volume. Now, all I can do is pray and hope for the best next episode. If you guys made it until the end of this video, please leave a like on it and consider subscribing for more Classroom of the Elite and anime content in general. With all that being said though, have a nice rest of your day and hopefully see you guys in my next video.